Welcome on in, Boston's TitleTownTalk, the official podcast of TitleTownTalk. We're just getting going today, and I'll warn everybody I'm in kind of a grumpy mood, especially warning you, Joe. How you doing today?
Good. How about yourself? I'm glad I'm sitting on this side of the table and not next to you.
Yeah, and by the way, to answer your question, today sucks. So we got a few things on the docket today that's just easy to talk about. First off being World Cup action.
Oh, yeah. It was quite an entertaining game on Sunday.
Why don't you tell everybody?
So, in case you guys missed the soccer game on Sunday, the United States faced, according to FIFA rankings, the fourth-seeded Portugal. The game ended in a 2-2 draw, but it came on a last-second goal by Varela from Portugal to tie the game, stealing the victory away from the United States.
And this kills me, too, because what do you have to do? In the last few minutes of a game, basically the U.S. team, they started crappy and then ended crappy, and in the middle kind of dominated.
Yeah, I mean, on the 5th minute, they gave up a goal to Nani, which was kind of a preventable goal. Because what happened was there were a couple of defenders right in front of Tim Howard, the goalkeeper. Jeff Cameron tried to clear it, but he lifted his leg like the dog was using a hydrant, and it was a terrible clearing job. Nani was wide open, scores the goal on the 5th minute of the match, and I'm just like, oh, you can't let that happen. That's just not good enough.
All right, let me ask you a question. Does it make me a fraud to be out on the World Cup?
To be a fraud?
I am all in on Team USA. The World Cup as a total, I'm out on it. Can I tell you why?
Good, go right ahead.
I'm watching a little bit of this Italy game, or I'm hearing about it. Did you hear that a player bit another player?
I did hear that, yes.
And then he fell to the ground, Joe. Like he had just got rock'em sock'em robot punched uppercut right in the face and then rolled around on the ground like a little girl.
Well, yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm not done because I didn't actually get to even see this game, but just hearing about it just annoys the crap out of me. And so it got me thinking about the Netherlands game that was yesterday that I actually did get to see. And it seemed like every time I looked up, they were flopping all over the place. Like little ballerinas, like 6-year-old girls that couldn't do a spin, and they kept falling on the little padded mat. The Uruguay-Italy game, it just... And then, the Italian guy that got bit, he runs down the field. And he tracks down the referee and he says, "Look at he's pulling his shirt off, Joe. I will undress in front of you just to prove my point, Joe." He's pulling his freaking shirt off and he's getting, "Oh, look at he bit me. Get over it. Get over it." This is why in a time when your sport has never been more at the forefront of what everybody's talking about, it's all over the radio. ESPN picked it up and they're broadcasting it. This is the kind of crap that you're going to display. You want your sport to get global? I'm out on it, Joe. I'm out.
Well, thankfully, it's the Italian player, not an American player.
European players are Sally's. I watching it just makes me want to hurl.
Well, a bunch of them are eliminated already, and a young, motivated United States team is trying to keep with it.
I don't know why it pisses me off so much, but it just genuinely does.
No, I know you mentioned you weren't a soccer fan.
It's the one thing. I'm not really a soccer fan, and I'll be completely transparent with everybody listening. I'm not. And when it comes to basketball, I've always been a basketball fan, but lately it just seems like every time I'm watching a game, it stops 300 times because there's foul shots that need to be taken, or there's team fouls, or there's incidental contact that's a foul, and I don't like watching sports like that. I just don't like it anymore.
Well, Adam Silver is a good commissioner. No, we're getting.
Maybe I have an attention span of a gnat, but I can't watch when it keeps stopping and when people are complaining and crying. Please give me a yellow card, please. God, spare me. Anyways, go ahead.
All right. So, luckily I remember where I left off.
Good thing. Sorry.
So, Nani scores the goal in the 5th minute, and I'm just hiding my face with my hands, just saying, if you're going to clear the ball, control it and then clear it out. But the United States did start to pick it up, but not until later in the second half. Jermaine Jones scores on the 64th minute on a shot that was almost outside of the penalty area. That was a beautiful goal. It just sailed right over the goalkeeper.
Legit goal.
It was a legit goal. It was a beautiful shot. It was picture perfect. Hit the corner, ties the game up, and then Dempsey on the 81st minute, with the broken nose and all, black eye that he suffered in the game against Ghana, scores 81st minute to give the United States the 2-1 lead. Great goal. But now the substitutions start coming in.
Now it becomes about protecting the lead. And this is what we're kind of watching. And as we start to dive into the Red Sox a little bit later on, this is just another thing that's just driving me crazy. You know what I mean? It's just like when you have opportunities in front of you, you got to capitalize. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. I mean, they made the substitutions to protect the lead, and they couldn't do that.
Because we're in the group of death, correct?
That is correct.
3 points as opposed to 1 point. It's
huge.
The whole thing. It's the world.
Big difference.
You know, and it's a difference between easily making it and now having to go out against in the next game against what, Germany?
Against Germany on Thursday.
And having
a harder team,
and really having to just put it all out on the line. If they won that game and went away with the 3 points,
they could have been fine. They would already be in the round of 16, but now they're going to have to either win or draw Germany to make it to the round of 16. And Germany's not going to sell for a draw. They're going to want to win.
And it sucks fans like me in. You know, because I'm all about the American pride, and I tried to get into it. I did. I tried watching it, and it's like, it makes me want to puke, some of the things that you witness, especially from the European teams. It's just, man, it just makes me, like, question
if you saw
the whole
this game
sport.
Against Portugal, I mean, on that last second that Varela scored for Portugal, now, mind you, he was substituted into the game as an extra scorer. But when Ronaldo's out on the field, probably the best soccer player in the world, no one goal lead is safe. He's going to make that cross. He did make the cross. Varela scored on a header, and the game ended in a draw where the United States had that victory right in their midst.
And it would have been huge.
It would have been a big win. I was jumping up and down.
You were ready to put on your American flag undies and go running through the streets?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Let's go. Yeah. We're off and running. We're talking World Cup. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Boston Red Sox.
To see you tomorrow.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Feels good to be back as always.
It does. You know, a week it always seems like too long. Sometimes. And it's such a beautiful day out. I don't know why I'm such a grump, but I really just woke up on the wrong side of the bed today.
That happens to the best of us, Josh.
Yeah. So something else that's really, really troubling me, and I'm going to air it all out on the air today.
Pour it all out.
The Boston Red Sox are the most train wreck team that I have ever seen in my Boston sports history. I can't watch it. So? I cannot watch it anymore. I'm almost to the point where it's pissing me off waking up every single day and not having any sport to watch except for the Boston Red Sox.
I mean, at least I'm steering towards the World Cup in some sense.
They get dusted by the widest margin that they've lost all year to the Mariners.
Seattle.
Now, Lackey, he gets absolutely just bamboo. They kill Lackey. They kill him. And it was Lackey's shortest outing, and I'm here to tell you that I'm not too worried about the actual physical play of Lackey because I think he will rebound. He's a good veteran. He's a solid guy, and he hasn't gone anything less than...
He's been the most dependable Sox pitcher in the rotation this season.
Thank you. He has been the most dependable, and that's including John Lester in that discussion.
In that bunch, a much younger John Lester.
So now I'm starting to wonder, though, is this guy's DB mentality starting to come out just a little bit?
I think so.
We have the reports from Fox Sports, I believe, is the first one that reported it, that it came out from Lackey's camp, obviously, because it's going to come out from Lackey's camp when you're talking about contract situations. And Lackey not being happy with them. Obviously, the Red Sox aren't going to start talking about Lackey not being happy with contracts.
Not at this stage.
And it comes out that he's thinking about retiring. So he's not playing for that $500,000. That he signed on the dotted line and said, listen, if I miss a year while you're paying me $13 million because of Tommy John surgery, because there was a little bit of a concern with that when we were starting, all the contract talks and all that stuff way back when. Almost his entire career here, he has been underperforming as a Red Sox starting pitcher.
Making close to $15 million a year.
Exactly.
That's
and
a little bit absurd.
And the chicken and beer thing, everybody kind of went right after Lackey. Okay, maybe it wasn't
me included. I lashed out at him. I really started to hate the guy after that all happened.
Everybody did. So don't apologize to me.
No,
Don't
I'm
apologize to him either, because
I'm not
this is what
apologizing to anybody.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Now all of a sudden the reports come out that I'm not going to play for that $500K. I'll just retire. Screw you guys. You paid me $13 million while I sat and rotted in the dugout while I had Tommy John surgery and I couldn't pitch for an entire year. But did he give any of that money back?
No. We could use that $13 million.
Yeah, between the two of us, we're the most underpaid radio sports hosts in the freaking country. But that's a different story for another day. So this report comes out, and I start to think, okay, that's a little bit of a DB move. You know what I mean? And not that you expect a major league pitcher to play for that $500K when he's making $13 million. I mean, that's a big decrease. But to come out with reports halfway through the season, you know what I mean, that you're not going to play for it, it just seems like kind of a douchey move to me. But now we have his latest struggle. And it comes on a play where in the third inning, he was having trouble getting out of the inning, basically. And while this is happening, I'm just shaking my head because he basically pulled the biggest lazy scab move I've ever seen. He doesn't run over. Napoli makes a great play. In the hole, there's a line drive. He fields the ball and gets the double play rolling. He throws it to second base. Lackey never rotated over to first. So they couldn't get the double play. So my thing is Lackey's obviously asked about it after the game, because any chance that the Boston media has to kind of go after Lackey, I almost feel like they do it without any kind of digression.
No, they have no remorse whatsoever.
No. They go right after this guy. And this is in a way I feel kind of bad for him. I do. But at the same token, what do you expect, man? You kind of did nothing here for the first, 3-4 years you were pitching
since
here.
You've been in Boston, yeah.
So he's asked about this play, and he goes, I could have gone over there. I'm not going to touch that. So he basically kind of scoffs off the question, and he's not going to go there. Well, hold on a second. What do you mean you're not going to go there? As a major league pitcher, you're being paid big bucks to go over there.
To run to any place on the field that's not just the mound. Come on, dude.
And it's getting to a point where watching the Red Sox is sheer pain for me. Stephen Drew, our buddy. We got to talk about Drew once again on another podcast. We have to talk about it because it was just the most idiotic signing I think that I've ever seen in my life. And I think that I wrote an article on this if y'all want to check out the full story. I mean, we're going to get into it a little bit. But there's no way that Ben Sherrington and Larry Lucchino were on the same page when it came to the Stephen Drew thing. I think Stephen Drew was all Lucchino because it was so stupid that it just reeks of Larry.
It reeks, and also, when they signed Drew back, it really digressed. There's so many minor leaguers that deserve a shot, and Drew gets a second shot, and he's still sucking.
So, 20 at-bats. I would like to put you on the spot. How many hits has he gotten in his last 20 at-bats?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say 1.
0.
Oh, I was close.
0. Oh my God, that's horrible. Joe, you could go in 20 at-bats. You would, if you sneezed, Joe.
I'll just lay down a bunt.
Yeah, if you sneezed, you could get a hit in 20 at-bats. Bogart's also slumping, so we can't leave Bogarts out of it. We obviously like Bogarts here. We're big fans.
I won't beat on Bogarts.
I'll beat on him a little bit. He's gone 5 for 52 in June. He's 1 for 17 on the road trip that they're on right now. He needs to get better. He has to, because defensively he's not there yet. No. Offensively is where they need him to produce.
And he's getting reacclimated back at third
on
base.
One of the worst offensive teams that the MLB has even seen this year. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, with the 369, 27th in slugging percentage. Horrible.
You know it's not a TitleTownTalk podcast until we talk a little bit about Pierzynski, too.
Oh, yeah, our other buddy.
Yeah, and if you're tuning in for the first time, and this is your first show you're listening to, Pierzynski and Drew, we just don't get it. We don't get why they're here. Ship them out. Pay whatever. Just get them out of here. All they're doing is hindering you. You're not winning anyways. The year is pretty much a wash as far as I'm concerned. I mean, do you see them playing 600 baseball the rest of the way? Do you see that, Joe?
It's physically impossible because right now they're 7.5 games out of first place, and they're 5 out of the third place Yankees. Like, they are so far behind. They're on the other side of the Pacific Ocean.
So Pierzynski, the other side of the Pacific, I like that. So Pierzynski, gone 1 for 14 on this road trip. And it's starting to get to a point where I'm just like, football, please come.
I was thinking that on my ride here. I'm like, you're waiting for football. I'm waiting for basketball. It really just cannot come soon enough at this point.
Hockey, something, anything. I would rather watch, like, golf than watch the Red Sox play baseball right now. I would rather watch golf.
I'd rather play it.
And so, and that's not the only thing that's going on with because, by the way, in the background, Ortiz has been absolutely complaining up a storm about
the scores at Fenway?
About this scorekeeper that ruled an error on the Joe Mauer play. And how he wanted to hit. He comes out, and then Joe Torre, the MLB, whatever he is over there, he gets involved, issues a statement saying he's kind of ashamed in Ortiz and like wishes he would keep his mouth shut. And so now Ortiz obviously comes out. The freaking call gets overturned, Joe. He gets a hit. So all the crying,
and then apologizes.
So all the crying that Ortiz does, it's actually for a good reason. He gets the freaking call overturned.
Why is it that whiners always get their way?
It is a huge problem in society, and it's a huge problem where we work, too.
Yes, it is.
And we won't even go into it, but
it's not worth talking
basically,
about.
if you complain enough, you get whatever you want. You get whatever you want, and it's absolute crap.
It's sad, and it's terrible.
So he obviously is asked about the overturn, and he says, I don't want people to think every time that I come up with something, I'm showing everybody up. He said, I owe an apology to the MLB. I owe an apology to Joe Torre. I owe an apology even to the scorekeeper. Let me... hold on a second.
How long?
Isn't the only person that you owe the apology to the scorekeeper the one that you made look like an idiot?
Dude, people... Oh, the guys that work behind the Green Monster, that must be a thrill. But to get bashed by a future Red Sox Hall of Famer, that's got to really be absolutely shameful.
I just think it's funny because quoted, he said, even the scorekeeper. Like, yeah, throw him in there too. I'm sorry for all the people that matter, but yeah, even that little guy over there. Well, I'm sorry to him too. What an idiot. Seriously, I don't think enough people dog on Ortiz in this freaking state. What an idiot. Like, the scorekeeper is the only freaking person that you had to apologize in that entire series of events. That entire sequence. The scorekeeper was the only one that would have been offended at the things you were saying.
And all he did... And
then just throw him on there like he's a cherry on a freaking ice cream sundae. Yeah, just throw it on there. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah, well, even him. We'll talk to him.
It's everybody's fault when something doesn't go Ortiz's way, evidently.
Basically. So I think that... You have any Red Sox thoughts you want to throw out there?
Well, I know you mentioned the other day, like now we're going from one starting pitch to another, about Jake Peavy, who is starting tonight against the Mariners.
Yeah, this is a big one with me.
Do you think that
it's not getting any better? The Red Sox have lost 4 of their last 5.
They lost 4 of the last 5. Now, in your opinion, do you think this is kind of a do or a die situation for Peavy as far as his stability in the starting rotation?
Good question. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might want to think really hard about this one.
I hope yes. And I don't want too much dead space on the air. So, yeah, I'll go yes really quickly. I'll make a rash statement. And I'll say if Peavy goes out and absolutely bombs this, he's done in the starting rotation. They'll move him to the bullpen or something.
Yeah. All right, Peavy, step up.
And I just think it's funny because I threw out that question there and I said, listen, does Peavy deserve to start? And 83% said yes.
What?
83% of our readers said yes, he does deserve to start.
Did they look at his numbers? He's 1-5.
And you're ready to trade out Felix Dubron. And okay, fine, whatever.
Personally, that's just me.
That's just you. You have something against whatever, and against Dubron. And I'm not ready to give up on that yet. He's only like 25, 26 years old, whatever he is. But Peavy, his best years are behind him. All you're doing is, and it's the same thing with Stephen Drew. All you're doing is stunting growth for the people that you drafted that you want to come up. That's all you're doing with Peavy.
Because they want to win right away, defend that crown, but it's just not happening.
Deal him. Deal him right now. Deal him. Take anything. Take pennies on the dollar. Swallow the contract. Get rid of Peavy. You have an extra starter. You have an extra one. When Buchholz comes back, and that's another story for another day. Buchholz is soft as glass, but you have Buchholz, you have Dubron, you have De La Rosa, you have Workman, you have Lack, you have Lester. There's too many people there. And I think Peavy's the odd man out. If you ask me, I would take every last one of those people over Peavy if you ask me right now.
No, it's a fair assessment. I mean, he's having a terrible season. That's an understatement.
And it's not even terrible. It's just he hasn't grabbed a win in like something like a month or something since April 25th.
He's lost 5 straight decisions.
Since April 25th. So he hasn't gotten a win for the Red Sox since April 25th.
That's
a long time to go without a win when you're in the starting rotation.
That can't happen.
And my whole thing is, when it comes to Workman, when it comes to De La Rosa, when it comes to Buchholz, when it comes to Dubron, when it comes to Lackey or Lester, I'll take all of them over PV. And I don't want to send De La Rosa down. I don't want to.
He's in a groove.
I don't want to send Workman down because he's nasty.
Yeah, so both those guys, you can't.
He pitches like a weirdo, though. Have you ever watched him pitch?
I have.
He pitches like kind of a girl. It's weird. It's like, I don't know, whatever.
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works for him because
he
throws some sick fastballs, but he does throw like a little baby. It's weird. He's learning how to pitch
but you know,
something.
if it wins him games, that's fine with me. I mean, my father used to make fun of Daisuke Matsuzaka's wind-up all the time because of his slow wind-up and his slow approach.
I remember this.
He looks like he literally looks like the ballerina on the mound.
All right, we only got one more segment left. We're going to dive into what, the Celtics?
Let's do it. Celtics.
Celtics offseason next. All right, welcome back. Ready to close out the show. The 5th show total for us.
That's number 5. That's our milestone for us.
We're starting to become veterans.
Oh yeah.
Gonna have a little more fun on
this
the.
This is now child's play now.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry if you don't like listening to people complain because we've been complaining kind of a lot. Well, especially me. Not so much Joe. Joe's always happy. He's over there smiling.
Well, I just came from the dentist too, so I have a reason to show off my smile today.
That's right. Got to show off them pearly whites today. All right, so it's kind of the next thing that we should probably talk about is this Joel Embiid story that actually exploded this past week. Exploded.
Oh, yeah, big time. The NBA draft is coming up day after tomorrow on Thursday.
Yeah, we got 2 days until the NBA draft.
2 days till draft. Lots of tough decisions to make, but this Embiid story, holy smokes, this could alter everything.
This could change everything. So basically, if you've been living under a rock, we'll fill you in. Joel Embiid ends up getting a stress fracture during one of his workouts, correct?
That was correct. And
so he went to the doctor, had surgery. Stress fracture now has screws in his ankle?
He's got screws in his foot now, and now it's going to take him about the next 4 to 6 months to recover. So at the absolute latest, we may not see him playing until December.
Okay, and then for a rookie, now you're talking about him missing the rookie kind of camp.
He's going to be missing the training camps. He's going to be missing preseasons, unless the recovery process is going faster than expected.
Okay, and I'm not expecting it will. You know, it's a broken bone. There's only so much you could do there.
It's a pretty bad injury.
And so I actually got 2 questions for you as our basketball insider. First off, if you're a team, are you drafting Joel Embiid with the number top, let's say 4 or 5 pick?
4 or 5 pick? To be honest with you, as the basketball guru, as you just mentioned, I'm stumped on this one.
You are?
I'm as stumped as anybody else right now.
I know what you want. You want to say, no, they won't draft him at number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 because the Celtics are sitting there right at 6.
They're sitting at 6.
And we want him.
We need a center.
Well, we need a center, and we need a center with a big upside that can maybe convince a player of...
Yeah, Kevin Love.
Caliber. A caliber player like Kevin Love, like a Carmelo Anthony...
Something to sway, something to use as leverage.
And I'm purposely leaving out LeBron James for all you people listening. He's an idiot.
You don't have to tell me that twice.
Yeah, he opted out of his contract today, which is just not surprising at all. He just wants to go to the next power team.
We'll let ESPN take this one.
They can talk
have a ball
about
with this
it.
one. They have fun talk about other stuff.
They can hug him and buy him teddy bears when he gets to his new place. They'll probably like rent him a hotel room when he gets there and all that good stuff. They'll probably leave a little mint on his pillow.
Stay out of Boston.
So anyways, Joel Embiid. Back to Embiid. So now my second question for you is now, if you're the Celtics, and Joel Embiid, a projected, in some people's projections, the number 1 overall pick, a star with big upside, but obviously he doesn't have credentials that maybe someone that stayed in college for a longer time does. He was only there for 1 year.
He only played that one freshman year at Kansas, and I actually finally will admit he did put up some pretty impressive numbers for the Jayhawks, and I can see why he could be projected to go number 1.
And so in a lot of professionals' opinions, Joel Embiid has a chance to be the number 1 overall pick. Well, he comes down with this stress fracture. Now you're talking about a rookie missing, a whole bunch of important
pretty
camp.
significant amount of time. Even the summer league.
And honestly, the summer league is huge.
That's important to all rookies.
Yeah, and it's huge for you to gain kind of that experience playing against
or in
professionals.
A training camp spot, all that stuff.
And so now my question for you is, sitting at number 6, you have the Celtics overall pick right there. You're sitting there. It's your decision. It's not Danny Ainge's. You taking this kid?
Am I taking Embiid? Lots and lots of hesitation. But if Embiid comes up and he ends up fooling me, not turning out to be someone like Yao Ming or Greg Oden, who had foot injuries and were number 1 overall picks and basically couldn't last a whole season, I'd say it's maybe a risk worth taking. If he falls to 6, though, I wouldn't trade up for him. I would just put at 6.
And it's a risky pick. It's a risky pick that has really a huge upside, in a sense where maybe he might be overvalued by the rest of the NBA or teams that are picking after you. And maybe he's that chip that you need to be, hey, Minnesota, we'll give you Embiid. We'll give you Embiid, and maybe you ship Love over Embiid, and maybe a package involving Jared Solinger or Kelly Olynyk or something like that. Maybe that's and then a future first round draft pick. Maybe that's
not a Brooklyn pick, of course.
Yeah, and maybe maybe Embiid's what you want, but if Embiid's not what you want, then there's still people out there, right? And you dove into this a little bit when it came to the free agent centers that are on the market.
Yeah, there are a lot of good potential free agent centers. But before I turn into that, Embiid can fall very easily into the Celtics' favor at number 6, because if you look at the teams that are ahead of the Celtics right now, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Utah, Orlando. Cleveland, who is the only other team that needs a center, decide they're going to pass on him. And now...
And they're split. They're saying, okay, we might want Andrew Wiggins or we might want Jabari Parker. And this is the latest reports that they're kind of undecided on what they want to do. But I think the thing to note in the reports is that Joel Embiid's not a name in those reports at all. So I think you're right. I think they've turned their head and they said,
Same. I mean, if you look at the other teams also, besides Cleveland, all those other teams have centers that they like.
Right.
They're all good, legit, either developing centers or centers that are starting to become stars, like Larry Sanders in Milwaukee or Enes Kanter in Utah or Nikolai Vucevic in Orlando.
Well, but then it comes down to, if you want to be a great GM, you obviously want to set your team up for success. And maybe that means drafting a center even when you don't need one, because then you can dangle him out there for a trade on something that you do need.
What Detroit's kind of trying to do right now, because they're absolutely loaded in the front court.
Right, and I think that's actually something to consider, because a team ahead of you might do that. They might not need a center, but hey, Embiid's the best player there. He's worth something on the market. I'm going to take him just so I can trade and get something I want.
Yeah,
and that's not out of the realm of possibility either. But before, because we're coming up to the half an hour when the show actually ends, and it usually flies by, but today it seemed like it flew by extra fast. So the Celtics free agents.
There's some good names out there in free agency.
Are they names that you would want more than Embiid?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Such as? Go ahead.
I really would love to see Marcin Gortat of the Washington Wizards.
Okay.
He's probably going to be the biggest free agent center available. He was acquired in a trade with the Phoenix Suns last season, but he averaged a near double-double this past season with Washington and actually helped vault them into the playoffs. Now, he's a big rebounder, is a big shot blocker, set career highs in those, and really was the X factor for the Wizards. If he came here, he could do the same in Boston. Because Washington, before they acquired Gortat, was similar to what the Celtics were. A team that's kind of trying to find that last, legit piece to help him get further.
And you know what I like about Gortat? It seems like I used to watch him back in Orlando, and I said, okay, what's the ceiling on this player? Because I like that Orlando Magic team. But if you think about it, he had Dwight Howard right in front of him, kind of stealing the thunder all the time, and he got limited minutes. And so now you've seen a player that's kind of gone away from the game. And in my opinion, it seems like he's worked on his offense.
He has.
He's actually got a little bit of skill to the point where he used to average 4 points a game at his max, before in the 2010-2011 season with Orlando. But now, he's gotten himself up to averaging 15.4 in the next year, and he just averaged 13.2. That seems like significant progress.
Now that he's starting, he's scoring in the post.
And it's not necessarily coming into the NBA and being the best player right away. It's about
that's not always the case.
It's a Michael Jordan philosophy. It's okay, what aren't I the best at? And I'm gonna go cutthroat at you, and I'm gonna get to be the best at it.
And when I get that shot, I'm going to take full blown advantage of this. This is my shot. I gotta shine here. And Gortat met everything in my book. If I were Danny Ainge, I know he doesn't dip into free agency a lot, but this would be something that he should really consider.
Okay,
he's gonna have to break his boundary a little bit to get this centerpiece right here.
And when it comes to who else you got out there?
Other players I got. I personally would love to see if you Celtics fans remember who Greg Stiemsma is. Played for the New Orleans Pelicans this past season. Not much of a scorer, not much of a rebounder, but he did play here back in 2011.
Yeah, we all remember.
And he averaged 1.5 blocks.
He's got the same timing as Bill Russell.
According to Tommy Heinsohn. you got to take Tommy Heinsohn's stuff so seriously.
What a tool.
But Stiemsma came here primarily just to block shots, and that's what he did. He obviously spent a lot of time on the bench because KG was playing.
Right, and Stiemsma to me, he's a legit 7 foot, right? He feels like a rebuilding piece to me. He doesn't feel like a guy that could come in here and be like Gortat. I feel like you could somewhat build around Gortat.
Yeah, he won't take you by storm. He won't be a starter in the future. But someone like Gortat, I would take over Stiemsma. But if Gortat by chance is well off the market, then Stiemsma would be another good choice.
Spencer Hawes. He is a scorer. He's 7'1", but he kind of lacks a little bit of a defensive identity. But, if you look for a primary scoring center, he can do that. And I think that the Celtics could use a scorer.
A scorer is good. Yeah, 7'1" who can shoot the three.
Especially down in the post.
Down the post is where...
Because they have shooters. They have shooters.
Plenty. Even Solinger shot a lot of threes this past season, in case some of you guys haven't noticed.
So, that's pretty much all that's out there for significant additions.
And the only one other piece I would say is maybe Greg Monroe of Detroit.
Okay.
But I have a feeling he's a restricted free agent. Detroit may try to haggle him, maybe try to pull off maybe a sign-and-trade deal with him because they can do that. And I'm sure whatever happens with Avery Bradley could be the same situation.
Right.
But, there's a decent amount of centers available. And plus, if you guys know who the Birdman, Chris Anderson, is of the Heat, he just opted out of his player option.
Yeah.
So now he's available.
Yeah, and
he still has enough left in the tank.
And so now you start to wonder, okay, so you got Carmelo Anthony out there. And this is just kind of a side thought. I don't really want to go into it too much. You have LeBron James out there. It kind of seems like Dwayne Wade will be the only one that opts back into that deal. Are you feeling the same kind of... I'm just feeling that genuinely.
I do feel that Wade has that kind of loyalty to the Heat. I don't think he would just opt out just because everybody else is now going to.
But you kind of feel like... what's the other guy there? Chris Bosh. You kind of feel like he's going to opt out a little bit. And maybe we were looking at this offseason all wrong. Maybe the Celtics don't have to build and compete with the big three in Miami because there might not be a big three anymore.
They're probably going to be disintegrating. And the Indiana Pacers they were the top seed in the East and didn't play like it.
And it's an interesting idea. A lot of teams are starting to, or a lot of writers are starting to kind of flirt with the possibility of, okay, Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James going to the same place this offseason. And even if that's the case, a team that would take both of them on would have a ton of salary cap space, right? Which means that they probably don't have any superstars on their team currently.
Probably not. I know
Chicago Bulls being maybe an exception with Derrick Rose.
Bulls...
I don't even know if the Bulls have enough cap space for that.
They don't. They got a lot of bad contracts locked up. They got Rose, they got Gibson, they got Noah and Boozer all locked up in at least 10, 15 plus million contracts. So that's going to be tough to tack.
And so I start to wonder, maybe you're not competing. Maybe the competition isn't as hard as we all thought.
No, not really. I mean, I do expect
because this is a
teams,
best case scenario for them. I mean, the Heat seems like it's just going to crumble real quick. Doesn't it?
It seems like
it. It feels like it. I mean, he wouldn't opt out of the contract for no reason. I feel like he's looking around.
He's browsing.
And he has shown history. He is not. I mean, he grew up in Cleveland. He left Cleveland no problem. So I don't think that this player has ever shown you a bone of taking less money or going somewhere that, you know, it's going to be hard and a grind and a rebuild to win a championship. I don't think he's ever shown you that.
No, not really. I mean, I do expect like a lot of teams though to start overhauling their rosters, trying to do everything they possibly can to land either one or both players.
Yeah.
But this actually puts the Celtics in the driver's seat because now it's basically turning into a distraction, the Kevin Love trades. So now things could sneak in the back door.
Yeah,
which I'm hoping to see happen. Because
and that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Maybe now Kevin Love is the third best option for people, whereas before these two opted out of their contract, he was the number one.
Love would be our best option, where the rest of the league, he could be number 3.
Yeah.
Like, this could be a big, big opportunity.
And I didn't think about it maybe in that light, but
I was reading very deep in between lines. I was thinking very, very hard about this. I'm like, if these guys are both free agents, this could open up a larger window of opportunities for the Celtics. Like, this is a much better situation than most people think.
And so, call me crazy, I'd still take Carmelo Anthony. I would. He can score and he can shoot, you know. And if you get Kevin Love and Carmelo Anthony, you're all of a sudden you're adding an offensive dimension. That's okay. You got a post scorer and you got a shooter. I mean, those, you know, there's the only two ways you can score.
And
you
can
score in the post and you can score in the shoot.
Who's a pass first guard? So there you go.
And I think it's awesome. I think that it's almost mind blowing when I step back and think of it. And I was like, you know what? The Celtics, they cannot rebuild unless they get Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, and keep Rondo. And maybe have Paul Pierce coming off the bench because they got to sit here and they got to compete with the Miami Heat, who have LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, who will probably be a little bit healthier next season than he was this past season. Chris Bosh, who's kind of he picked up the scoring in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think Chris Bosh is a pushover.
He did a little bit. I mean,
and so you're starting to think, okay, all right.
This could work.
We can't really compete with that unless we make a huge splash. Well, now if LeBron James leaves.
And Bosh
and goes
Wade's
somewhere
still not healthy in Miami, like this.
That separation between Miami and the rest of the league is now shrank quite a bit.
It's getting pretty
and that
close.
means it shrank between the Celtics and maybe making a run at it if they can make the playoffs as a 7, 6, 5 seed.
You never know.
I mean, I think the world of NBA possible. Has gotten awesome, and I think that as much as I don't like LeBron James, I would love it if he left there, just because it's not right. You know what I mean? Like there was such a wide margin there, and I think that now that there isn't, I think if he goes somewhere else, that maybe even if he joins Carmelo Anthony, if the rest of the team sucks around them, the team's not going to be very good.
No, they're going to be pouring.
They're not going to be the Miami Heat.
Nothing.
They're not going to be the Miami Heat.
It's going to be deja vu for Anthony if he joins LeBron with another team, because it's like, look at him. He's stuck with the Knicks, 3 bad contracts with 2 of his other role players constantly getting injured. Deja vu again. Too many washed-up players if they do that.
And we went overtime. And so I'm sorry for that, everybody listening. Yeah, I know you all have lives. But in your spare time, don't ever forget to go over to Boston's TitleTownTalk.com. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter, TitleTownTalkSB. And you can like us on Facebook whenever you want. Big thanks to Port Media, because we stream through their website, and everything's kind of set up here.
These people are great.
This beautiful studio. I mean, they're awesome people, and
it's beautiful Newburyport too.
It's beautiful in Newburyport. It really is. It's gorgeous. And on a beautiful day, I'm grumpy as ever, but hopefully I can get some sleep. And
we got to get you outside.
Yeah, we got to get me outside. Maybe get some food. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a great week coming up here, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right, adios.
Take it easy.